Hello, fam. Welcome to another episode of the Prophetic Listening Podcast. Super stoked that you're here. I wanted to create this little introduction to tee up this next episode. This episode is a little bit unique. I have a guest coming on who is actually based in France. She's French, and her accent might be a little bit challenging for our American listeners to hear and understand. But she speaks fluent English, and I've edited several parts in there so that I can provide a little bit of context or an interpretation if you're struggling to understand her accent. But just wanted to let you know that this episode is cut a little bit differently, and it's probably going to be on the shorter side just for the sake of content and brevity. But I still really, really wanted to feature this because this is a really powerful testimony of what prophetic listening can do in a believer's life. So I hope that you enjoy. Hey fam, welcome to the Prophetic Listening Podcast, the art of hearing God's perfect will. The podcast that invites you to tune into God's guidance and discover his flawless plan for your life. I'm Michelle Honora, your host, and I'm thrilled to have you here. I'm an author, speaker, and spiritual direction coach, as well as the founder and director of the Center for Prophetic Listening. In a world filled with noise and distractions, finding clarity in God's will can be a challenge, especially if you're facing significant life transitions. Whatever challenges you're encountering, you're about to learn how to discern God's perfect will for both significant and everyday situations. So tune in, open your heart, and embark with me on this sacred quest to hear God's voice and discern his perfect will for your life. Welcome to the Prophetic Listening Podcast. Today's episode has a very special guest near and dear to my heart. Her name is Sanaa. Do you want to tell your name, Sanaa, to the audience?
Yes, Sana.
Okay. All right. So we won't say her last name, but as you can tell from her accent, she is French. She's based in France, and she was actually one of my earliest clients at the Center for Prophetic Listening. You found me via Google, is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and it was right towards the beginning of the pandemic, I think, or right around the time when that was happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then at the time, Sanaa, what were you doing? What were you doing for work, or what did you do as a career?
I used to work as an administrative officer, like public writer or something.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
So, anyway, this was an opportunity because this was more than 3 years ago. It's crazy how time flies. We
Yeah.
met for the first time about 3 years ago, and now this is an opportunity for us to just kind of catch up. And I wanted to bring you on, Sanaa, not only because to show people that this is something that has blessed people internationally as well as nationally, but also just to share your story and kind of your experience with prophetic listening. Why did you end up searching for it, and how has life been since it? So to start with, what do you remember what you actually searched when you ended up finding my website?
I search for answers, really. Answers to question. I look for direction from God, really. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Direction from God, yeah.
what was happening, and only to the extent that you feel comfortable sharing, but what was happening in your life that you were seeking direction on, or that you knew you needed to have God's help with?
I think I was, yeah, no, not I think. I was more
Mm.
struggling spiritually, yeah.
Were you a new Christian, or had you been following Christ for a
I've
while?
been following Christ for a long time, really. Yeah.
Long time. Okay.
Mm.
Um, so when you found my website, what made you decide to go ahead and set an appointment?
Because I was like curious, really, to hear from God, really, about different issues in my life.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah.
And for those of you watching, there might be a little bit of Wi-Fi interruption on either of our ends. We actually don't know what's going on with the internet. So fingers crossed that you can hear and discern. But
Okay.
so you were just you were a little bit curious. You came to the website and you were like, I want answers from God enough that I will give this complete stranger a try and see if she can hear God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Do you remember our first session?
The first session, yeah, I do remember. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that was your first time experiencing prophetic listening.
Mm.
How would, in your own words, how would you describe it? Like, what was it like? Did you feel nervous when you came to the call, or, what were your thoughts at the time?
Mm, Not sure. I didn't really feel nervous. I felt comfortable.
Mhm.
Yeah, we were just sharing. I was sharing my thought. I was sharing my struggle, and we were just listening and trying to hear from God to give me some answers. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
How would you describe prophetic listening in your own words? So for somebody who's never heard of it and they've never experienced it, how would you describe the experience?
The experience is just, I mean, to trust God, that God will use another person to speak into our situation, and we have to have some kind of discernment, because sometimes maybe it's not for today, it's maybe for the future. Yeah,
Mm, that's a good
to
point.
have the right interpretation, really. Because sometimes we don't understand everything that is going on, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, no, that's actually a really good point, because sometimes people will receive a word
Mm.
and they're like, I have no idea what that means. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's not for today, it might be for a little
Mm.
bit later down the line. And then you're like, oh, that's what God meant when he was talking about.
Yeah.
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 So I'm not sure. Eh, can you share just some of the things that were happening in your life that we were seeking
Mm.
God's guidance for, only to the extent that you're comfortable?
Uh, what you were seeking at the time of the session, you mean?
Yeah, like was it pertaining to career? Was it pertaining to major decisions, moves, transitions? Like what was happening? Do you remember what was happening in your
Yeah,
life at the time?
I did. Yeah, I did. I did. I remember that I was struggling with my neighbors,
Yeah.
really, because we didn't really get on at all. We were in kind of very tough. I mean, I would I didn't really understand it at the time, but I think it was spiritual and real.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I was struggling with that.
Yeah.
But I didn't get an answer really, how we will end up, or
Hmm.
how God will intervene. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I remember we it was to the point where they were actually disturbing your ability to enjoy your home, right?
yeah. My peace, really.
Yeah, your peace. I mean,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
were constantly making noise, they were really loud, they were
Yeah.
very inconsiderate. They didn't seem to care that they were being so
Yeah.
disruptive. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember on I think it was our second session, that
Yeah.
you were asking God, like, should I stay or should I just move?
But I've tried that many times.
Oh, you tried to move many times.
Yeah, but it never happened. And I think they try also to move many times, but it didn't happen really.
Yeah, I remember in our And in one of the sessions, I think God said to stay, but that he didn't want you to move just because of them.
Yeah. And then many times also I had a word in uh, at other times when I would God had a place for me, I would move or something, but it never happened. Maybe it will happen in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you tell me that something actually though happened with your neighbors that kind of started to shift things?
Yeah.
What I
Well,
mean,
about my neighbors, I knew he was spiritual because I had quite a few dreams about them when I saw that, he was kind of very spiritual.
mm-hmm.
So, how the situation, improved. The situation improved because, one time I was like participating in a prayer group online on Zoom, and one of the person told me that he had trouble with his neighbors and he went to buy them a box of chocolate. So they were quite surprised with the box of chocolate, and they, they stopped making noise. And he told me that I don't know if it means something to you, but sometimes God wants us to do things that goes out of our way or something.
Yeah.
And it happened that there was somebody having a birthday in the building, and I thought that it was one of the kids' birthday, and I felt God wanted me to get some gifts for them. I went upstairs with the gift to make peace with them, and then I met the lady in the stairs, and she told me that she was going through a tough time with a baby because she had 3 kids. She had a baby at the time, and the baby was not sleeping at night. So she was surprised that I came with the gift. So she apologized for all the hurt that she did to me. And I knew it was spiritual because she said that at one point she was 18. She had 18 me for a long time, but now she was not 18 me again.
Interesting. Yeah.
I managed to get into their home one day and to just ask for forgiveness for all the trouble I made for, when they were making noise, making noise as well and complaining about them to the landlord and this and that. And I told them that I want peace between us. Yeah.
Are they still there?
Eh? Yeah, they're still there, but now we are talking. Yeah.
Hey, fam, not to bust in and interrupt this fantastic episode, but wanted to give a little bit of context to what Sanaa was sharing just now. So, to sum it up, she basically said that she had a situation with a very disruptive neighbor who lived I believe, above her and was causing so much noise that she and her son weren't able to enjoy their own home. And she felt very much that this was spiritual warfare. We did some prophetic listening on this several times. And at various points, the Lord said that he didn't want her to have to move just because of these neighbors. And then there were other times when we sensed that eventually at some point he would open a door for her to move, but it didn't happen right away. In the end, God gave her a strategy on how to basically be winsome to her neighbors. He prompted her to give one of their children a gift, a birthday gift, and in the end, that just broke the ice, and the neighbors apologized for all the disruption and noise they had caused. Sanaa apologized for any trouble that she caused by reporting them to the landlords, and now they're on good terms. So this is a really, really beautiful demonstration of God stepping in, providing a solution, and providing reconciliation, literally with one's neighbor. All right. enjoy the rest of the episode. And okay, so I feel like there were a few common repeated themes we would pray about and listen about.
Yeah,
One was the neighbor, which
yeah,
God handled in a very unexpected way, but through
yeah,
forgiveness, which has that his handprint all over it,
yeah,
especially because he's the one who indicated to you, okay, bring this peace offering, basically.
yeah.
Um, and then the other piece was um, you had a lot of concerns, I remember at the time, about speaking up or speaking up about your faith.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
it sounds like he's given you a lot of peace about that, about not striving with that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But what happened is at work when I used to work, um, God, you sometimes sent me some people that were like, I mean, it happened 2 or 3 times only, that had a hunger for God. And I managed to talk to them about God, I mean, for 1 hour.
Wow.
And the strange thing is that God put some angels when I didn't see them for nobody to come and disturb me because
Yeah.
it's impossible to talk for an hour to the same person because I had over people that sometimes are waiting for administrative work. But God will make it possible for nobody to come or and disturb us. No colleague, no other people that are waiting for me to testify and to talk to them about what they want to know
Yeah.
about God, yeah.
Ah,
And
that's
I used to
wonderful.
talk to one Muslim person, another Muslim lady, and another lady was into voodoo before, and she was searching for God. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
But I always told them that it's between, I'm not allowed to talk about that at work, but it's just between me and you, and then they kept it secret or something.
Yeah. So, guys, this clip was particularly encouraging to me listening because Sanaa talked about how she really wanted to speak up about her faith, and she lives in France, which is one of the most post-Christian countries in the Western hemisphere, and she lives in a country that I think several years ago they declared themselves to be agnostic, or to not serve or believe a God. And so she lives in a country that's actually pretty hostile to Christianity. But she shared how after we did prophetic listening together and felt encouraged and given strength to share her faith, that God started providing really cool opportunities in her office to share the gospel, to speak to people about God, to minister to them, and then she said that they both parties knew that she was not supposed to be talking about that, but they took advantage of it and spoke about God anyway, and in some instances had prayer. So I just think it's really cool that even through the means of prophetic listening, it could be used as a tool for emboldening evangelism. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
good. That's good. I remember there were certain people that we prayed about whether to keep them in your life or not.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and are they, I think at the time God said to remove them from your life.
I've had a few Christian friends, but once I spoke my mind, they are out of my life now.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they weren't really friends to be like true friends.
No, because they just didn't accept that I had a different opinion on
Yeah.
certain matters or something.
So from what you've experienced, Sanaa, what would you say um were some things that came true
Yeah.
from our prophetic listening? What would you say are some things that came true?
What came through for me? You mean?
Yes. when we were, from what we were listening for that we couldn't yet see, what would you say has come to pass?
I would say, I mean, dealing with my medical health, yeah, dealing with medical health. Well, Levi at the moment is into printing, and also maybe say that maybe we say that with my neighbors that maybe God has his hand on it or something, and yeah.
Okay.
About that.
And
Yeah.
and then some things that we're still waiting to see come to pass, which is fine. We're waiting for the new home. God willing.
Yeah.
A
new job or something. Yeah.
A new job. And then also just for you to feel 100%, because you're starting to feel better, but you're not 100% yet.
Yeah.
So to wrap it up,
Yeah.
what do you feel like prophetic listening was helpful at all?
Yes, it is, because sometimes we are, when we struggle with kind of type issue, I believe that it gives us encouragement. If even though we don't see the breakthrough today, we know that by listening to the word, we know that his word of encouragement, and God has his hands on us.
Yeah.
So whenever I'm struggling, I can go back and listen to some of the prophetic words, or read some of the emails or something to give me encouragement.
Yeah. Thank you, Sana. Thank you so much. Thank you for those of you who watched this episode. I hope that this was a blessing to you to hear from somebody else who has experienced prophetic listening. And we will see you on the next episode. Bye. Hey, fam. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this episode. I really, really hoped that you were blessed by it. If this taught you anything about hearing God more clearly, about listening to him with other people, if it inspired you watching other people connect with the voice of God, I want to encourage you, share this show. Don't be greedy. Don't keep this all to yourself. Share this show. Let other people know about the Prophetic Listening Podcast. Share it on your social, text a friend about it, bring it up in conversation, whatever that looks like for you. Also, if you could do me a huge solid and leave a review, guys, that helps increase visibility. There is nothing like word of mouth traction. So please leave a review. Lastly, if you want to connect with me on social media, you can hit me up on Instagram at @TheMichelleHonora. You can also find my work, my resources, my e-courses, as well as the certification program on www.propheticlistening.com. Thank you again. Tune in to the next episode. We're here every week. Can't wait to see you on the flip side. God bless.